It's now time for Matt and Dan in the house. Well, a very good day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of Matt and Dan in the house of...
Wow!
Exactly. So welcome everyone to another episode of Matt and Dan, the House of Quark, and today we're on episode 9.
Episode 9.
Wow, I know we say this every episode, but wow, we've again, I can't believe we're on episode 9 already. Wow.
Do your standard thing.
So it'd be the Rise of Quark?
The Rise of Quark.
There
we go.
There we are, the Rise of Quark. Episode 9, the Rise of Quark. Right, and so of course you can watch us now on our Facebook page at M&DHQ, or you can watch us on our YouTube channel as well. Just type in Matt and Dan House of Quark and you'll find us there. Give us a like, comment, all that, subscribe. You can listen to us, of course, on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, Anchor, Breaker, and of course Overcast and Pocket Casts as well. And many other third-party podcasts and streaming sites that I've never heard of. But hello to those people listening. Right, and so of course,
anybody listen on Overcast, by the way? I need to move.
Yeah, if you are listening on Overcast, please give us a message as well. Let us know. We don't even know people listen to us on these sites, but we're on them. That's the main thing. Right then. So again, welcome to our brand new episode. So episode 9, what are we talking about? So as standard, we do have Mr. Data there, and he's going to tell us what we're talking about today. So today we're talking about the holodeck / suite. So I think for this we'll probably say holodeck for most of it because it's just easier just to so we're not keep going holodeck, hollow suite or whatever, just say holodeck just to make it a lot easier. So we're going to talk about our favorite holodeck episodes throughout the franchise. So a bit more personal I think this episode's going to be, which is going to be great, more of a discussion like the last episode. We also going to talk about what if the holodeck became reality. So what it would be used for, where would you find them, and the ethics as well around holodecks if they did become, reality in the real world, not just in the world of Star Trek. And also we would talk about as well, what would we personally be using them for? If me and Dan owned a Hollow Suite or we could go to one, what would we would use them for? What would we hire them for? Be really interested in this episode. Right then, so let's get started. We're going to start now, of course, with our first point, which is our favourite holodeck episodes. Dan, I want you to take this one away to start us off. So what do you think? What's your favourite one?
Well, before I do, I just want to say it's quite interesting. I was actually thinking about when you were saying about holodeck / hollow suite, like the name. I was actually thinking about this last night when I couldn't sleep, sort of thinking about what I would say. It's quite interesting because obviously in DS9 they say it's a hollow suite. Obviously it's Quark's hollow suites, but obviously on the ships, so like the Enterprise, it's a holodeck. And I think it is, for me, I mean, I know they're the same thing, but in a way it is, if you think about it, quite different. Like a holodeck and Enterprise is, I guess, just a deck on the Enterprise. Obviously, but with Quark's, it's within his bar, so it's It's like going to.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I like that.
It's more like an entertainment. It has connotations of entertainment, like a place of entertainment.
Yeah.
I think on the Enterprise, it's more. I mean, we'll get into this further into the episode, but. I just wanted to start off by saying it because you just literally said it, and I was like, oh yeah, I was actually thinking about this last night. I think on, like, say, for instance, obviously on the Enterprise or Voyager, it is more of a deck, and it is more of a, I guess, especially on the Enterprise, it's more for like obviously for entertainment as well, but it's more for other stuff like training and stuff like that. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
No, I don't know what you mean. I think from what I read on it was like a Star Trek fandom website. Which I can't think for the life of me what it's called. You know, there's one, and it basically has like it's basically an encyclopedia of Star Trek. You would definitely come across it. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called now.
Memory Alpha.
Memory Alpha, yeah. And it basically
I love Memory Alpha.
Yeah. So Memory Alpha, for those of you who don't know, is basically a website that has all the information they need to know about Star Trek. Well, all the fictional information anyway you need to know about Star Trek. And it's always updated as well, which I'm actually very impressed with, because I remember.
Is really good.
Yeah, because as soon as Picard came out, it did update like loads of things, like the story of 7 and 9 now was updated and all that. I was really impressed. They managed to update that as soon as that episode was like released. So fair play, whoever like runs that, you're doing a good job. Yeah,
It's got a lot of good stuff on the. This is this is a sidetrack now. It's got a lot of good stuff on the Dominion War. Like when I was watching DS for the first time, like I was really interested in the Dominion War.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a good article on the Dominion War. But
Well,
anyway,
what I remember anyway, reading Memory Alpha.
What were you going to say?
It was something like, it basically described the Hollow Suite being, I think basically what you said as well, where I think, you know, a place of leisure, but also being smaller as well than a holodeck. So
yeah.
a lot of things like that it was describing as well. So yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think it's mainly to do with I mean, because obviously a holodeck, it's called a holodeck, I guess, because it's on a ship. At the end.
It's on a ship, and I would assume especially with the Enterprise, because there's holodeck. There's more than one, isn't there? Obviously.
Well, I work on a cruise ship. We have like a sports room or sports like a little arena sort of thing. We call it the sports deck. So I guess it's a.
But is that deck all dedicated to sports?
Yeah. Oh well, sunbathing as well. Okay, there's a bar there. I mean, but yeah, we do call it the sports deck, though. I'm trying to think if that's actually the actual name of the deck, or that's just a thing we all say. Probably it's the thing we all say, but it's interesting. I think,
Yeah. So I mean, it's just. I mean, I wanted to bring it up first because you said you said about it, and I was actually weirdly thinking about it last night. I think, especially DS9, it is more of a. The term holodeck and hollow suite has different meanings. I think.
All right, so for this then, okay, I will correct myself a bit. I think we'll say, you know, if you do say holodeck and you mean suite, it's fine. The hollow room, isn't it? The hollow place, the place of hollow.
You don't need to correct yourself. I think.
No.
But anyway, so that's
we got over that.
We're over that. My favourite holodeck episode. For the listeners out there, I think you'll probably remember. For our dedicated fans, probably remember my favorite all-time Star Trek episode and favorite DS9 episode is a holodeck episode. And whenever we've talked about holodeck Star Trek episodes, I always seem to get drawn into the holodeck ones. But my favorite is, and I've said this before. My favorite is "Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite," which is the DS9 episode where they all play baseball. And well, I mean, to start off, I like it because obviously, I mean, I've said this before. It takes place in season 7, height of the Dominion War, and I think it kind of really is the perfect what I'm trying to say. What am I trying to say? It's good that they have the holodeck. You know, obviously with the height of the Dominion War, I think it's really useful. It just highlights the importance of having something like a holodeck to take you away from escapism. Yeah, it's the perfect escapism, and it's really interesting. It's a really interesting episode because it's it brings everybody together. Everybody's all dressed up in the baseball, kit, and like I say, it's just a fun episode, and it's again sports, so it's that way of having a hollow suite that can create sort of sporting events and things like that. I know that I think Cisco likes to also, I don't know if there's an episode, but I think Cisco likes to watch old baseball games in the hollow suite as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I like that episode again, just because it's got that sense of community. Everybody can go to, the Hollow Suite, and it like I say, it perfectly sums up what a Hollow Suite is used for. But also, yeah, it's like, I mean, for us now, it would be like going bowling or something like that, or the cinema, or it's just, yeah, like that escapism of doing a family activity. So in terms of sort of from a Hollow Suite point of view, I think it just is the perfect episode, really, because for me it perfectly sums up, or perfectly encapsulates what a holodeck should be used for, like entertainment.
Yeah.
Obviously, in other, it can also be used for, I mean, we'll talk about this again more, for like training and sort of, technology and sort of learning. But I think it's just that Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite is just one of my favorite episodes, because it's just everybody letting their hair down. It's a different sort of aspect to DS9, in that it's why I love holodeck episodes, because it's not, I mean, there's a lot of holodeck episodes I can name that I enjoy. So it kind of, the best thing about a holodeck episode is it does take away from the norm. Like it's not just about the ship, it's not just about going to an alien planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I like the odd holodeck episode here and there. And I think it's important to have a holodeck episode, or holodeck episodes. Do you know, it breaks up the sequence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's if you just have a Star Trek series that just has them going to a different planet every week, or getting attacked by the Klingons every week, or do you know what I mean? It is nice to have something different, and I think that's what Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite does. Like I say, it's everybody playing baseball, or baseball, as Cisco would say. Why don't you come and play some baseball with your dad? That's my Cisco impression.
It's very good.
Our friend Jonathan Newhouse can do it better. But do you know what I'm trying to say? That's why I like the Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite episode, for those reasons. It's a good way of breaking up the sequence of episodes, and it's a good, important sort of holodeck episode, I guess.
Yeah. No, definitely. Because my favorite episodes, I would say, are the Captain Proton ones, Adventures of Captain Proton. And again, I think it's the idea of escapism, of just being someone else or doing something else for a bit. I think that's the whole point of the holodeck. He said it is escapism. I mean, through in that universe, I mean, they're all obviously they're meant to be in space, and they're working hard all the time, and I know it's not real, but if it was real, I guess that's definitely something that they would need, and they definitely would require. And I think that Captain Proton, for me, the idea of I mean, me personally, why I like them episodes, because again, it's sort of a salute to like the old sci-fi. So it's got this weird this like meta film element in it, where it's basically saying, like, I don't know, because obviously Star Trek is a science fiction show in itself, but then it's quite nice how it plays around with like B movies and all that. And it's the idea of Paris is obviously obsessed with all that stuff. There's always been a thing with Star Trek and been obsessed with old B movies. I've noticed that, like when they watch old movies,
I know what you mean.
They always seem to watch like old black and white films. So
especially on Enterprise as well.
Yeah.
Enterprise, I think Trip and Tucker. They quite like doing the film nights, and they always watch old classic films. And T'Pol doesn't get it, but
because correct me if I'm wrong, but the water is it water volleyball or something? What is it that he's really into, Captain Archer?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Water volleyball.
Yeah,
water
he's like water polo. Is it? I thought polo was
it might be what.
I thought polo was the one with the disc and the sticks. That's what I thought polo was, because I thought of polo as in on horses. I might be wrong. I don't know. That's why I thought.
Polo, but then you can get polo as well, which is the same, but just in a swimming
Yeah,
pool.
but they got a ball though. I don't know. You can tell
Well, yeah. So
I'm
it probably
not an
is water
expert at this.
volleyball.
Yeah,
You've got like normal volleyball, beach
yeah,
volleyball,
yeah. And that's water one, is it?
and then there's a water. Is there a water one?
I don't know. Anyway, there's a
Anyway.
sport he obviously likes, and I know
Yeah.
I get a bit off topic here now, but correct me if I'm wrong, but they're not like recent or anything, are they? I'm sure they're like old recordings that they find and and they
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what he says, and I'm like, I don't know. It's something that's always started an obsession with the past, isn't it? Which I find quite interesting because obviously it's a depiction of the future, but obsession with the past, and with especially with holodecks as well. So we are getting back on the holodecks, don't worry. But I think they always seem to play around with the past, isn't it? The past is always a massive part of
Mm.
like exploring themselves or exploring anything, I guess, exploring the world around them, and they seem to always seem to like to go back in time and play a lot with the past,
Yeah.
especially in DS9 you got uh who is it, Dr. Bashir, and they like doing like old I think it's like loads of old British battles and things, don't they?
Yeah,
And
because
things like that.
there's an episode where he does. It's him and Garrick, isn't it? He does an episode
Yeah,
being a spy or something like that. But you're right. If you think about it, the majority of the holodeck episodes are period pieces.
yeah, that's
Obviously,
it. Period pieces. Yeah, yeah.
but like the one I think of most is the Killing Game in Voyager, where it's I've mentioned it on this on previous podcasts before. The Killing Game in Voyager is where the Herodian have taken over Voyager, and they've
Uh-huh.
got Voyager crew in the World War II
Yeah,
Nazi France, I think it's
yeah, yeah.
France or um,
Occupied France, is
yeah,
it? Something like
that's the occupied. That's the word I
that. Yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
think of.
yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it is funny you should bring it up. It is quite interesting that the majority of the episodes are period pieces. I
Mm.
mean, again, in like things like Enterprise, Data, she's obsessed with Sherlock Holmes. There's like a Sherlock Holmes,
Yeah,
and that's sort of like a period piece. Um, and again, it goes back to what I was saying. Of sort of, it's good to sort of. I quite like it because I like that aspect of it because it gets them out of their normal sort of Starfleet uniforms and it gets them in like baseball costumes or like old style
yeah,
apparel, attire, whatever the word is. Do you know what I mean? It's sort
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
Well,
nice to see the characters
yeah.
in like a suit and tie or from the 20s or do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, in Voyager, they also make a bar, don't they? They basically redo the bar. It's the French bar that Paris likes going to.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes. I love. There's an episode where they're all playing pool
yeah,
or
yeah.
snooker or something, and it's the first time. This is one of my favourite Captain Janeway moments. My sister will laugh at this. I know she's listening. So hello, Emma. Um, it's one of my favourite Captain Janeway moments, just because it's so silly. But it's the episode where Captain Janeway first goes into that bar and they're all playing pool, and or snooker or whatever, and she's never played it before. And Tom Paris is like, "Oh, here, Captain, have a go," or something. So she's like, "Okay," and then all she says to Paris is, "Give me your stick." And she means the pool cue, the cue to hit the balls with. But it's funny because she doesn't know the word, she doesn't know.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
she
yeah.
just says, "Give me your stick,"
Give me a
you know.
stick. Yeah, yeah,
So it's just the way she says it always makes me laugh. But yeah. Anyway.
yeah. No, 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 definitely. Yeah, and yeah. I guess because obviously she is the commanding officer, and it's nice to see her sort of in a different light. And the holodeck is the perfect, perfect place to do it. Because again, they can be anywhere, and the idea that they're in in a bar, aren't they? They're in a bar. can't remember the name of the French town now. I've been there as well, and I can't remember what it's called.
Have you? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah,
cool. Oh, that's,
yeah. I haven't been to that. I haven't been to that bar. I've been to the place that they go to.
no,
They
but the
reference
place that, yeah.
that they reference.
Mm.
'Cause I did think of it when I was there. I was like, oh, I wonder where Paris's bar is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like, the idea though is it's a a bar, and it's quite funny how they sort of interact with obviously the holodeck
Yeah,
characters.
the hollow characters and stuff.
Yeah,
It's really, yeah, it's nice that they go to the same place, the bar, because it's the same on DS9. They go to that bar. I don't know if it's Vic's bar, but it's with
yeah,
Vic.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
With
they all go
Vivian, yeah,
there rather than just creating a random bar each time. It's the same one, and it's
yeah.
yeah.
I can't remember what the term is. So I'm not a massive gamer really, but there's I basically characters. I remember I've seen the Jumanji movies, the new ones, and then there's always like
I've seen the first one. Yeah, I need to watch the second one actually because I really liked the first one.
yeah. But there's a
Well,
character.
technically, it's the second one, isn't it? Because it's I guess a continuation from the Robin Williams one, but the first
Yeah.
Rock ones. I like it. I like
No,
it.
I like them. I think it was quite a nice modern take on it. I think.
No, absolutely. I think they're really good.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was quite fun.
Like I said, I've not seen the second one. Well, the second one's like the next level, isn't it? Something like that.
I have seen it, but I can't remember. I definitely seen it though. I don't know. Did I see it in cinemas? I can't remember. But anyway, like they encounter a character that can't say more than its script or something. I can't remember. Do you know what I mean? I can't remember what the term they use to describe them characters in games. There's obviously a term that they use. So it's basically if it's a multiplayer. Let's say it's a multiplayer game online. Everyone's obviously interacting with each other. But then there's also characters in that game that are not real. If that makes sense. And I can't remember what they call them. Which is what I'm trying to say. It's kind of the similar thing in a holodeck. It's like you have obviously like if me and you were there, we'd be obviously us, but then there'd be like other characters in there that the computer's obviously just generated, and they just have to they use algorithms or whatever to respond to you, that sort of thing. But well, I don't think we've gone too off topic, but anyway, back onto my favorite one. I'd say the Captain Proton one, because again, I agree with you. It's escapism. It's all about just letting yourself loose. It's another world, and nothing beats that than actually, like for us watching a film or playing a game or whatever, or listening to music. I mean, for them, they can actually turn the whole room into something new. And for me, Captain Proton, I said I don't want to get too much into what I'd use my holodeck for, because I'm gonna leave that to the last. But I can sort of see Captain. Paris's, where he wants to be Captain Proton. I can kind of see, in a way I can imagine, not necessarily I'd be doing it all the time like he sort of does. He seems to really enjoy that, doesn't he?
That's what I was going to ask, actually, because there's quite a few Captain Proton episodes. Is there any ones in particular, or is it just Captain Proton ones in general? Because you've got Bride of Chaotica, where Janeway...
I think, the one with Janeway, the bride one. That's the one. Yeah. I'm terrible of names of episodes. I always have been. I've always been terrible of them. Anyway, that one. Because Janeway gets involved, and I think it's the idea because with that episode as well, because obviously they have an alien invader on the ship, and then he interacts with them with the game, because and the idea they have to play the game in order to stop him or play the episode basically, and then Janeway has to get up in full gear and costume, and it's the idea she has to play as well in order to, to save the ship, and she's the only person who can do it, and it's brilliant.
There's a similar couple of episodes in TNG as well where that happens. I think the first one that comes to mind is where it's a Sherlock Holmes one, and Data. This is the one I told you about yesterday. Data against Moriarty, and like sort of Moriarty takes over the ship or something, doesn't it? If I remember rightly. Yeah,
that's right. And
there's that one. There's also one where it's Captain Picard's program, and it's Dixon Hill.
Yeah.
and it's I think it's a similar sort of situation where the ships in.
Keep losing him.
This only comes to mind, so I might have got the episode wrong, but I think it's a similar thing where like they have to go through like the mystery or solve the mystery of the program in order to save the ship.
Yeah. I know. I do like them episodes. I think it's kind of this weird meta film element in it again, whereas that's a fictional world within a fictional world, but then that fictional world interacts with the rest of the fictional world outside that world, and and that Moriarty one I think is a great example, because that one gave me a headache at first. I'll be honest with that episode. I remember.
I can't remember the name of that one. I can't remember
if
it's. Can't remember the name of that episode.
Because
Datas, I don't think.
No,
no, is that a different one?
Say that again. Sorry.
A Fistful of Datas. Is that it, or is it a different? Might be a different name for the episode. Anyway, the episode name isn't that important. But,
no, not for this. I said because, well, you got to think there are so many Star Trek.
I like to know the names of different episodes.
I do like to know them. Yeah, I like to know as many as I can. But like I said, there's so many of them. They always seem to fall out of my mind sooner. Like that Captain Proton one. I know what you mean. There's a lot more, but I always end up saying the Captain Protons.
Oh, well, with the Captain Proton one, I only know the Bride of Chaotica one. Because it is Janeway as well. So
we
got off topic again.
We have
Well,
not really. I'm just curious of how many. Let's see if I can find out how many holodeck episodes are there actually in Star Trek.
I think the majority of them happen in Voyager, don't they?
I think so.
Is it? Oh, well, I think is that what you told me, or have I imagined?
I read that somewhere. I definitely read that somewhere. I don't know if I can get. I tried to find a statistic here, but I don't think I can find anything. Oh well. If anyone knows how many holodeck, hollow suite, whatever episodes are there in the whole Star Trek franchise. Sorry, I'm multitasking now. Star Trek franchise. Please let us know because I really want to know. If I find out for the next episode, I'll definitely bring it up.
And if the majority of them do happen in Voyager, because I think that's probably right there, which makes sense because they're in the Delta Quadrant and
a lot of time to kill.
And obviously there's the Herogen episodes, which is two-parter as well. So
no, definitely. Right, Ed. Should we move on to our next point? So we're now going to leave the world of Star Trek. Not completely though. We're going to take out the holodeck idea, and we're going to place it now in the real world. First of all, holodecks. What would they be used for? Or holosuites? What would they be used for?
Well, I mean, sort of going off the Star Trek thing, I think obviously first we know that they would be definitely used for entertainment. Mm-hmm. I think it's it's sort of like the futures version of like a PS1 or because you can imagine I always imagine if we did get like holosuites, it would be like how it's like in our era it's like PlayStation versus Xbox. It's Sony and Microsoft. I kind of think what would happen if you had like a Sony
different manufacturers
like but how there's like the whole growing up, like, did you have like a PlayStation or an Xbox? I was always PlayStation. Mm-hmm. Then I recently changed to Xbox. Now I hardly play it at all, but that's neither here nor there. So I always think like what would happen if it's sort of I guess Sony, PlayStation, holodeck versus Microsoft Xbox holodeck. Do you know what I mean?
So you'd have, I guess, gamer rivalry as you have now. Yeah. So it is this, wars.
Yeah. So that's that's
the console wars, I think they call them, don't they?
Yeah,
the
console wars. Yeah. So obviously we know that they're used for entertainment purposes. It's like our version of playing on the Xbox, or sort of especially nowadays with things like virtual reality. I know PlayStation have got a really good virtual reality platform. I mean, does Xbox? I don't really know.
I'm not sure actually. I say again, I don't really follow consoles as much.
I mean, I have an Xbox One, which I mainly use for now for play DVDs and stuff. But what am I trying to say? So I know that obviously we've got sort of things like virtual reality now. So that's kind of like a Hollow Suite, I guess.
Yeah.
It's sort of going that way, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of other things, obviously in Star Trek, there's things like for training purposes, I think as well would be quite interesting. Sort of things like going off the virtual reality thing. This is going off topic, but it's kind of on topic as well. A couple of years ago, I did a science, technology, engineering, and maths roadshow for the RAF. I was a presenter for it. I can't remember if you remember me being on tour.
Oh, yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, obviously I'm an actor, but this particular acting job was more of a presenting job, and we would go around comprehensive schools in and around the UK, and we would present science, technology, engineering, maths shows to kids to get them excited about a career in STEM, and particularly the RAF. And one of the things we talked about in that presentation was the fact that the RAF use virtual reality for training. And I think if we had holosuites, that's what they would also be used for, is like training for like simulations, sort of especially with a something as big as the aviation industry, sort of flying, testing new planes, and testing new new technology. I think obviously it's weird because I always sort of things like planes and stuff, they have testing can be dangerous. But I think if it was done in the safety of a holodeck, it would be easier. You know what I mean? Because obviously if we're testing a new plane outside, it could crash, the computers could go down. Do you know what I mean? But I think with holodecks, it'd be great. And I think that's what it would be useful for, things like that. Training for the military, or anything really. I guess I think like the car industry, like BMW could use holodecks for creating new cars and stuff like that.
Formula One might use it.
Oh yeah, Formula One might use it again for a safety point of view. I mean, the safety in Formula One now is pretty good anyway. But I think from a safety point of view, if we had sort of holodeck races, I guess if a driver crashes and because obviously, as we know as Star Trek fans, the holodeck has the ability to have safety protocols, and so that's with the safety thing, I think the drivers would be protected. So there's a lot you can do with it, like medical industry. I know there's an episode actually of Star Trek Voyager where I think Neelix has his lungs removed.
Yeah, and then he has basically holograph lungs, doesn't he, in order to breathe. Yeah.
So it's obviously having, again, one, holographic lungs, so that's what it could be used for. But I think also sort of operations, sort of practicing, like learning, and sort of medical students could go to a holodeck and sort of practice operations on. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
No, definitely.
That's just my ideas. What about you?
No, definitely. I think I love when you said about the idea of the military using it, because I actually think if anyone's going to have it first, they would have it first. I mean, if you look at history, I mean, the radio, or they call it back then the wireless, that was before it was commercial, the military had it. The internet, before it was commercial, the military had it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So I do think, if that technology, I don't know, maybe they're using it now. I don't know. I think it would be.
Who knows?
Yeah. I do think that if anyone's going to use it first, it would be a military thing at first.
No, absolutely.
So it would be used, like you said, for training, I imagine. All sorts of things like that. Like you said, medical training. I guess combat, all that sort of stuff. So I definitely think, I think the holodeck would be a military. It'd be owned by the military first, until eventually, like the radio and like the internet, it would be handed over then to public use, to commercial use. So then, like you said, then it will go into, I guess, like the console wars. You'd have, it'd be more, so it'll be accessible to the public then. But no, I like the idea you said about using it as a simulation, isn't it? I mean, there are like you have flight simulator, and you have all sorts of different simulators to play in, and they're pretty popular games anyway. People like doing them, but I mean, the idea of obviously using a simulator to learn, I think, definitely. I also think, learn, and also to relax and unwind as well. Therapeutic as well, quite a good way of therapy. Definitely opens a lot of doors. The idea of holodeck is a giant simulation. You can go and be anywhere, be anyone. So I definitely think that it would start off as a military thing and eventually become more commercial. And I don't know. It's interesting to think, the sorts of things that it would be used for. And also, this goes to our next point now, but I might as well bring this up now, is the idea, where would you find them? So,
I mean, we might as well go to that point.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything else to say, what they...
I don't think so. I think we basically summed that. I think, the idea of it being used for education, say, as we said.
Education,
or like I said, simulating, different scenarios that the military would use. And then it's all sorts of things like that. But then I think now moving on to the next step of saying, where would they be? Let's say then, okay, so they started off with the military, and now they're given to the rest of the world like the internet was. How will it work within society? Would they be, like you said, would they be in places like, I don't know, bowling alleys, cinemas, them sort of places? Would only the rich of the rich be able to afford to have their own personal ones in their homes? Possibly at the start when they first be launched. I mean, not everyone had the internet when it first came out. Not everyone had, all sorts of different things when they first come out. Eventually they go down in value, and they are more accessible to people. I think as well. Or would they start off maybe, after in the military? Would they go off to schools first, or would the world's governments try and focus the attention, in schools? So, the idea of educating and simulating. So it's the idea of using them in schools for, like, science projects and all sorts of things like that. Like you were saying, of engaging kids.
Yeah. No, that is a good point. I think, I think definitely in schools, schools would definitely have, a holodeck or hollow suite, part of, and universities as well, like I say.
Yeah.
I definitely think with the younger generation as well, like, sort of, I mean, I'm thinking to my nephew's age, so like 5, so he's in, he's year 1, year 2 sort of age, definitely in that way as well.
Well, like for me, like the way I mean, I'm a very kinetic learner. I learn by doing things. I don't learn really from listening. I mean, me growing up, I found a lot of, especially science, I found all I did really was copy out of books. And no offense to any teachers out there, but for me that didn't work, and I stand by that to this day. It didn't work for me. Like they'd say things like, "Well, copy out a book, it'll stick in your head." And I'm like, no, it isn't. I just copy letters out of a book. I don't think I learn anything. I don't anyway. Whereas the idea that being in schools, that the whole idea of being access to a hollow suite, I think would have made education a lot more. I think the idea of fun is important in learning as well, and the idea of just be able to do it, understand things by actually seeing them
Yeah, it's
and
more enriching, isn't it?
interacting. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a fuller learning experience. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think.
definitely. And I mean, in some ways, like I'm kind of jealous of children of today, as in the resources they have access to. I mean, I don't think we had the internet. We didn't have broadband anyway until I was a teenager. I mean, I remember dial-up. That was annoying.
Yeah, I remember dial-up, and I think it wasn't until we got to like comprehensive school that schools had like for our generation had.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's yeah, but I mean, the idea of, I mean, I remember there was a time I never Googled things for information. I never even thought about doing that. It wasn't really a thing. It wasn't. Whereas now, everything is sort of Googled, isn't there? Everything is sort of, is in front, which is great, I think. And I mean, we had BBC Bite Size, but it's not as good as it is today. I wouldn't say so. I mean, today, I mean, all sorts of things they can do on
I think
there.
being bite size would be a holodeck program in itself.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I definitely see that. So yeah, I definitely see that. Education. I mean, I think my mate Jordan, he used to work at a school, and they had a room called the Dome. He was telling me, and I only just thought of this now, and I remember him saying, and I thought of it as a hollow suite, and it was something like it project things on the ceiling and around the room, and they call it the Dome. So he worked with a lot of children with all different needs, and and they had different ways of learning, and this helped them a lot. And I sort of related to that. I was like, yeah, I would love that sort of thing. The idea of it's more like sensory learning, that sort of stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
and the idea, I think he said he called it the Dome, and basically walked in this room, and the room was dark, and then he'd switch something on, like and there'd be like a beam of light, and it would like cover the room like in stars or something, and they'd learn about astronomy and things like that. So it's definitely something I'd say that's on the books of education. It's definitely that they're looking into, I think. And I definitely think we're right saying that, yeah, it'll be military first, and then I like to see it going on to into education, to ways to learn. You said universities would have them as well, and them sort of places. But especially, I think for younger people, I think it's a great way of learning. I mean, learn about history. Imagine I learn about history, and then
Yeah,
going
you're
back
right.
and that's what the holodeck does on Star Trek.
That's what they did in Star Trek.
Yeah.
I always remember, like, for example, learning about the Battle of Hastings.
Yeah.
I always remember this one time. This was back when I used to live in England. Why that's important, I don't know. I remember a history lesson at school we had, and we were learning about the Battle of Hastings. And the teacher actually took us outside to the school field, because there was like a hill area, and he split the class into two, and sort of he basically did the lesson as the Battle of Hastings, if that makes sense, sort of like to teach us about
Yeah.
one army at the top of the hill and the other at the bottom of the hill. And I think you're definitely right in saying, like, about history and stuff, because I think if we had had a holodeck, to learn about the Battle of Hastings, we could have actually like created the actual Battle of Hastings, and we could have actually been there and seen it, learned it, got to I guess just learn about the different, I guess, not just like what happened in the events, but also like the smells and like the textures of like
that's it. Yeah.
the the clothing that they had, and just
Yeah.
being that era. Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely. No, I 100% agree with you. I think it definitely would make children. Well, obviously, I know you obviously just went outside, but imagine actually going into a holodeck and, like you said, the whole smells and feels and all that, and around the room. I definitely think that would, I guess, engage young people a lot more
Yeah,
in
makes
learning.
it more
And
fun to learn about, especially like
yeah,
stuff that aren't necessarily. I don't want to say that, so there's certain subjects that are boring, but like not everybody would like history. Do you know what I mean? I love
yeah,
learning history. I was really good at history.
yeah,
But I guess everybody has different subjects that they find more exciting more than others, and there's definitely subjects that people find more boring than others. But I think with a holodeck, it would balance everything out in terms of, say
yeah,
like for instance, I never really liked. I mean, this was back in school. Now I like running, but like I never used to like PE. But like, say if like imagine having a holodeck episode where I could a holodeck lesson where we could just go to a football match and be in the football match and blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. No, definitely.
So
I think
yeah,
as well, you could actually, I don't know, you'd have like I like the idea when you said about running and football matches, but I guess it's kind of like, you could experience being coached by a famous sports person, or you
yeah,
could, you'd be taught by, the best mind in maths, or Albert Einstein,
yeah,
or what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that idea as well that yeah. I'm not trying to take teachers'
As
jobs
well.
away from them, but I guess it's the idea of you can literally get the best of the best through technology, can't you, as well?
Mm.
And that's definitely, I mean, that's one thing great about the internet is the internet is it is a giant web, obviously the World Wide Web of information that we have access through a click of a button.
Yeah,
And
it's a big teacher, really, isn't it?
yeah, and that being a hollow deck or hollow suite, whatever, and the fact that you walk in and you change everything around you, and you interact with it, and there's so much information in there.
Mm.
I just think, how could you not use that for education? It'd be stupid not to, wouldn't it? It was
Yeah,
just
no,
like,
exactly.
definitely. No, it's exciting to think, how things will change in the future, like if we do have our own, not together, but we have our children one day.
No, but I
No, no.
think
No, what I'm trying
is
to say is, no, it's exciting to think if you do have children one day, and I mean to say, how would their education,
yeah, it would be
be
different
different
to us.
than ours.
Yeah.
You know, like we'll be saying things that I remember when we had a chalkboard and and a pen and a piece of paper, and and there's them with their holodecks and their gizmos.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we'll be
Yeah.
the old people then moaning at them. Back in our day, when you didn't know when you were born, sort of thing.
I always think of the this isn't Star Trek now, but I always think of the Futurama episode where they go on the internet, but they're actually like on the internet, like they have the headsets and they are actually.
Yes, yes. I like to think of it like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
actually, funny you say that now. I mean, I don't know if I read an article about Mark Zuckerberg, and they
Right.
put loads of money into like the idea of Facebook in the future will be VR, and he wants to make Facebook VR. And there's been like trials of it, and there's videos you can
Oh.
find on YouTube. But I recommend watching them just to see, it's just interesting.
Mm.
And he actually goes into a virtual world with his friends, and it's so weird. They're like just, which is a big thing now. I mean, there's a thing on the PlayStation. I got a PlayStation. I haven't got this. It's VR chat's become a big thing where people basically become an avatar, and they got the goggles on, and they basically roam this world, and they interact with people in virtual reality, which is I don't know. I guess I guess that's a good point as well. Obviously the holodeck and hollow suites. I mean, I don't think this is it's not that's not really referenced at all in Star Trek. But if it was in the real world, would it be plugged to the World Wide Web? Would it be an internet thing?
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, I mean, it goes on to that how would it run in terms of the everyday world? Like
Yeah,
sort of say like if the internet went down, like, or if, you know, like a couple of weeks ago, in our house, our internet was being dodgy and like nothing would connect. So
Yeah.
like, if people had their own holodecks, like, would there be instances where it would go down because it's connected to the internet, or is it a separate thing? Like, if it's wired in,
I see what
like
you mean.
how would it run? Would it just be there? Would it just exist?
Yeah.
Or would it have to be connected to a external thing
Yes. Yeah, like a
that
server, like on. Yeah.
yeah, like a server,
Yeah.
like for instance, I mean, it's funny we should bring it up really. Recently Garmin has been, yeah, have you heard about the Garmin thing? It's been hacked and the whole Garmin's down.
I haven't actually. No.
Well, basically, like, I use Garmin for like my runs and stuff, but Garmin also does like the GPS for, like, you know, the aviation industry and like the weather maps and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
It's been hacked. I won't say too much on it, but so a lot of people are at a disadvantage now. So I think, again, like, could it be hacked? If it was running on a server, could everybody could you hack a Hollow Suite and sort of,
Yeah.
when people are in, say, like, people are in the programs, like, could you hack into somebody's program and meddle with that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting. Yeah, because I guess, like I said, if it is connected to the World Wide Web, I mean, the internet obviously is full of all sorts of things as well, like viruses and
Yeah.
hackers, and you know, unfortunately, we do live in a world where people are trying to, you know, commit fraud and things like that. So, yeah, that's it kind of reminds me of a few years. Well, I'll say I think must have been about. This is the year Xbox One came out. And I know this because my brother had one for Christmas. And I remember it would have been, what was that, 6 years ago or something? I think it was a long time.
I can't remember when it came out.
But it was the year it came out because I remember my brother had one.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get onto the servers. It was running too slow, like really slow. And we just blamed it on the fact that everyone's probably trying to use it at the same time. You know, everyone's had one for Christmas and all that, you know. But it turned out what happened was on the news that a hacker actually got onto the system and actually he hacked both PlayStation and Xbox Live, and he he basically made them all slow.
I think I remember reading about that. Or, yeah, obviously, definitely big news. Yeah, definitely. I think I remember that. But it's like anything, isn't it? You know, that it's easy to hack, and yeah. But it's like it's like New Year's Eve when you know, the countdown and everybody's sort of around that time when it's everybody's trying to text each other and ring each other, and everybody's like, the phone lines sort of jam because everybody's contacting each other to wish
at the same time. Yeah. It is quite funny how people do that still. They even know that happens.
Yeah.
You know? So I think, so when we say where would we find them, so I like the fact that we say we find them in schools. I also think as well, so we'd find them as well in more commercial areas as well, because obviously not just education. I think, like, we definitely said this already, but it'll definitely be a form of entertainment. It'll definitely be
absolutely. I think that would be its biggest market as well.
Yeah, like we said, like, you know, we said about you know, maybe in the first few years there'd be you know, only places you have to go to in order to use these facilities, like schools and like libraries maybe, and also like places like Zaps, you know, because I always think the Zap Zone, you know, the Zap Zone, or Zap Zone is actually the name. It's not called the Zap Zone. Zap Zone is the name of what it is. I'm trying to think of what it actually is called. Zap Zone is basically the branding name of what it is. So the Zap Zone is a what's it called? Laser Quest.
Laser Quest.
Yeah. I call it the Zap Zone. The reason I call it the Zap Zone because the one in Newport used to be called the Zap Zone.
Because why?
The one in Newport, I think it was one in Newport, was called the Zap Zone. So ever since, I always naturally call it a Zap Zone. Everyone was like, "What are you talking about? It's the Zap Zone." No, anyway. So yeah, them sort of places like, you know, like bowling, cinema, entertainment complexes. Let's call them that.
Yeah.
So I definitely think they would definitely start in those sort of places. And talking about Laser Quest, brilliant idea for Laser Quest anyway, wouldn't it? You know, the idea of a, you know, a Hollow Suite doing that. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
but I mean, it doesn't have to be laser. It could be actual sort of with actual real guns, but
well, yeah,
obviously
yeah, yeah.
with the
Hollow
safety.
guns, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, hollow guns, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. So it'll definitely be a place of entertainment, and then eventually, I think, as the years go by, I think Hollow Suites would end up becoming a place that people have in their own homes. I think they'll end up becoming a thing that, you know, like a bedroom or bathroom, it'll become a hollow room.
That's it. I mean, like
Yeah,
it could literally just be the size of a bathroom, the
yeah,
size
yeah,
of downstairs cupboards.
yeah,
Because if you think about like the Enterprise, they go into like a small box room and it suddenly becomes. I always think of like the first time you see Riker and Data, it's like that big jungle thing, isn't it? And it's like
yeah,
they're actually just in a box room. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, but I think when it gets to the period where people would have them in their homes, I think you mentioned it at the start of the episode. Like, I think it will be something for the rich.
Yeah.
I think it would be.
Or it would at least start off like that, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it
'Cause
would definitely.
it got me thinking about uh, that Tyron guy. Is it Tyron that we were talking about? The Jeffrey Combs
Yeah,
character?
yeah, yeah. With yeah, and he's obsessed with
Kira.
Kira. Yeah, with Kira. Yeah.
But he has his own holodeck, isn't it? It's
Hmm.
mentioned. Clark says that you have your own, and he's like, just a little present to myself. But we know that he's like a very wealthy man, isn't he?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I definitely think, yeah, to start with, definitely. I think just the technology. I think it would be so expensive.
Well,
Um,
yeah, it'd be like a status thing then, wouldn't it? It'd be,
hmm,
you know, I have a hollow suite. Ooh,
yeah, yeah.
you know, sort of thing.
I was thinking about this yesterday, like growing up, especially like if you had one and you had like you always, I think, yeah, definitely status or class. I
Hmm.
think you were always like judged on what car your parents drove,
Yeah, yeah,
or like if you had a PlayStation 1 or a PlayStation 2. Like if you had a PlayStation 2, you were rich. If you still had a PlayStation 1, you weren't. You know what I mean?
hmm,
Um, and subsequently with if you were on Xbox. But do you know what I mean? I think that's
yeah,
like if you had a new car, you'd be judged. You were always judged as, oh, he's well off. But if your parents drove like an
yeah.
older, do you know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting you say that, Mike. I mean, even before like we were born, people only had one television, or some people didn't even have any televisions, you know, or color TV. That was a
Okay, yeah,
massive
color
thing,
TV,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
If you had a color TV, you were loaded. If you even had a television, you were loaded at one point. You know what I mean? Or if you had more than one, that blows people's minds, you know. So, and there was even a time when everyone's bathrooms were outside, basically. The toilet was outside in the garden, and people, go out to the outhouse, and all that. And now, so and I find, when people had, especially in our lifetime, I think having en suites were like, considered only for, I don't know, not necessarily for the wealthy maybe, but anyway, not many people had en suites. But I don't know. I see a lot of people now, especially new build. If people buy new build homes now, a lot of them do have en suites in them
En
now,
suites, yeah.
and an en suite seems to be a thing. Everyone seems
Everybody
to
wants an en suite.
yeah, and it used to be en suites. Said, oh, maybe only the privileged got,
Yeah.
and now it's become more accessible. So I do think the whole idea of the holodeck, it would take time. Like I said, it would be like in Star Wars, obviously, with Tyron, and he's got one, and obviously Quark's like, wow, he's got his own hollow suite, he must be loaded and all that. And then eventually, as time goes, it'd be a thing that everyone has. I think, yeah, definitely. Because
I think it would be kind of like, sorry, Karen.
as I say, even like the computer as well. I mean, not everyone had a computer at one point. I said not even had
Yeah.
the internet at one point. You know what I mean?
It was like when laptops came out, people still had desktops, and it's like,
Yeah.
laptop, do you know what I mean?
No, definitely.
I think it will also be kind of like if like the iPhone thing, like people who have iPhones. It's like when you say you get like an iPhone, whatever number up there, like an iPhone 10,
Mm-hmm.
but like as soon as you get an iPhone 10, an iPhone 11 will come out, and then as soon as you get
Yeah, yeah.
an iPhone 12 will come out. And I think, it could be like that, like Holodeck 1 will come out, and it's like, oh, I've got a Holodeck 1, but it's like, yeah, but I've got a Holodeck 2. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I
that
know what
kind
you mean. I mean, with me as well. Like, I'm really interested in VR at the moment. As in, I'm interested. I haven't actually got one, but I'm interested in it. But
of,
like, for me, like I think the biggest one. I read a magazine about it, and I think it's the Oculus something is like the one to
yeah,
get.
I've heard of Oculus, yeah.
And they reckon Oculus is like, I guess the Sony, the Apple of the VR world. That's their, that's their place. Um, but still, I'm very like, I'd like to sort of have a go or even have one myself. But at the same time, I'm like, I like to kind of wait until technology gets even better, because I know. Do you know what I mean? By the time I have one, it'd probably be like, does that make sense? I like to
Yeah,
wait.
but I think then you'd be constantly waiting. It's like
Yeah, that's
I'd wait
true.
for like say like the next iPhone to come out, but by the time I'm able to like afford it,
Yeah,
the next yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. It is a weird one. Yeah, it's because I remember when the camera first went on the mobile phone.
mm.
I
And that
always
was
remember.
again like seen as a status thing. Like at school, if
Yeah,
you even at school, if you had a phone,
yeah,
was a
yeah,
big. But like it would seem you weren't popular if you had like a phone that didn't have a camera.
yeah. I remember the phone when you had to actually attach the camera onto it. I remember the one of them.
Mm.
Get that age now. Remember those
Yeah,
days, man, when you had to attach your camera onto your phone, onto your
we're
Nokia?
only 27 as well, so it's sort of getting
But
that.
then it
Yeah,
shows how, like, I think, like my dad was saying, like, um, these past 20 years, unbelievable how technology has advanced.
mm.
A lot quicker than it advanced
Yeah,
in
and
the
how
70s and
quickly.
80s.
Yeah, how quickly.
Yeah, these few years have just been mental. Like, it just evolved so quickly. And like I said, I definitely like to see that Hollow Suites will be a thing of reality in the future. And again, I think, yeah, what we said so far, like, they will start off maybe in the military, then education, and then eventually will be given to the general public. But then it will be only certain places you have to go to, maybe have to book it and stuff in order to use them. And then eventually it'll become a thing, you can have in your home. I mean, for instance, look at the cinema. I mean, there was a time when we go to the cinema probably every week or something. I mean, I still like the cinema now. I do. However, I'm trying to say like the general public. So everyone as a collective would go to the cinema a lot more. I mean,
Mm.
now you have access to, a lot of the latest films. I mean, films, and they don't take that long, it seems, now to be released, as in to go on to things like platform
Yeah,
services,
and quite a
Netflix,
lot
and
of
all that.
quite a few films nowadays are sort of being shown at the cinema at the same time they're being shown sort of say on.
Yeah,
So it's like you might as well not go to the cinema because I can just
yeah,
watch that
from the
on
comfort of your own home. And it is interesting, yeah. Yeah. So if Hollow Suites do come out, I would say we would sort of, I don't know. It's kind of like we would go back a step, really. We'd step back a little bit, as in we'd actually start going to places like entertainment complexes. I mean, now look at now. Now I think the big thing is escape rooms, isn't it? Escape rooms seem to be a massive thing at the moment, as in people
Yeah,
really enjoy escape rooms. But imagine, like, escape room, but in a hollow suite. So I imagine that definitely a popular program, going to an escape room in a hollow suite. Rescuing a damsel in distress in a top of the tower, fighting a dragon or whatever. That sort of stuff will definitely be very popular in these sort of places, in hollow suites. And then, so a lot of the general public will have to, like, if they become really popular, obviously, the general public will have to actually go out and go to these places, spend money in these complexes, and then eventually as we said, like what happened with cinema and all different sorts of entertainment, it's become more, it's in the comfort of your own home. It will be a thing that you got literally under your roof, sort of thing. So I think that's an interesting way of looking at holosuites, especially through entertainment purposes. Anyway, yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I think now we can go on to our next point, obviously. I think you kind of brought it up, really. Cause I think there's definitely an episode that really plays on that, and that's that episode you brought up with the Jeffrey Combs character, Tyron, is obviously the ethics of using a holosuite. What is, obviously with everything that we do in the world, there needs to be, I guess, rules. I'm a strong believer of, you do need to police things sometimes in order to have peace, in order for society to function. We do need rules. I love the idea, obviously, of freedom and be able to do everything that you want, which is great. But I do think there has to be some borders, some lines, there's some red lines in order to keep the peace, isn't it? In order to keep everyone safe. So I definitely think that we look at things like ethics now. It will definitely be a massive, a massive topic anyway. The ethics of the holosuite and how it's used and who uses them and
and like
yeah.
Would there be like you were saying this yesterday, age restrictions, sort of. I kind of think like if you go to like an entertainment complex for the holodeck, would you get ID'd?
Yeah.
Sort of the same as you would sort of having to go see if you go to the cinema and you want to watch an 18 rated film and you looked like you were 12 or whatever, you get ID'd. Or if you go to the pub and you want to drink, you'd get ID'd. It's just like the same sort of. Would there be an age restriction? I think there would, sort of, certainly on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Or like certain programs that you want that are age restricted rather than.
Yeah, well, like games are, aren't they? They have certificates on them.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be, I'd say, a thing put into place. I think as well, how people use holosuites for their own personal use would be things like for instance, like Jeffrey Combs' episode. The idea that he's using it for his own fantasies, and he's fantasizing about someone, on the same, on the same, in the same universe as in a real person. I'm trying to say, as in Kira, as they, is, I don't know, would that be ethically wrong?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And even though it's not real, and it always makes, again, we always seem to reference Futurama, because I always think of that Futurama episode with with Fry, and it's I can't remember her name. It's the actress, Lucy Liu. Yeah, that's it. And he obviously is obsessed with her, and then he ends up like having an android that obviously resembles her, and it's her because it's her subconscious, it's her memories and stuff. It's basically her. And he's using her for his sexual pleasures, and it's like, is that the right thing to do? You know what I mean, sort of thing. It's and I think that episode really does sort of explore that. I think,
absolutely,
yeah, because it is what what is right and what is wrong. Because at the end of the day, you can look at it and think, well, all it is just a beam of light. It's not hurting anyone. It's not. However, it's like, but still, is that ethically, correct thing to do? As in, at the end of the day, you are using someone's image. I don't know. It's interesting. I think that will definitely be up there with discussion.
Yeah, I think it's one of those sort of things that becomes a taboo thing, really, isn't it? Like, if I think inside your own home, would it be better? Like, would you be able to, and then if it was like in an entertainment complex, would you be able to do it, or would it like be in your own home, sort of like it is very like taboo topic.
Oh, definitely.
Especially on especially if you're thinking it from a sexual pleasure point,
Yeah.
because you could really fancy someone and like really want to, I don't know, whatever with them. But with the holodeck, you could sort of create,
Yeah.
a holographic version of, the person that you fancy, and you could just be with them.
Because there's an episode, isn't it, in TNG when Geordie's obsessed with that engineer, the lady. Is it
Oh
Geordie?
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
that sort of questions that, because she's like, "You've got a simulation of me." You know what I mean?
yeah.
And it is, yeah. And imagine though, like you did that about someone, and then they found it. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I can't even obviously get my head around it, because obviously it
It
would.
is hard to comprehend.
Yeah. But obviously, this would be an issue. And also, I think it would question, would that be right thing to do or wrong? Because obviously, like I said, it's only a beam of light. And also, I like you said about obviously, it being your own personal use, but also, if it's in like like a entertainment complex. But also, I think, should hollow suites then be policed? As in, I mean, obviously, unfortunately, I don't want to get too much detail of this, but we do live in a world, unfortunately, that isn't, the greatest. It's not a great place, the world, is it? Obviously, as we can all agree with, there's a lot of horrible things happening in the world, which is horrible. And so I don't want to get too much into it, but the idea, obviously, of there are particular people in the world that may use the hollow suite, obviously, to have particular fantasies over, let's just say, about people who are a lot younger. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to get too much into that, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I thought that's where you were going to try and go.
Yeah. So obviously,
I think I agree. Yeah, people would definitely abuse that.
Yeah, and obviously that upsets our stomach just thinking about that. I mean, I had trouble even getting that out.
Yeah, no,
I think
exactly.
you had trouble even listening to that. You know what I mean? So, but that is something I think would be a problem. And again, it's the argument of it being a beam of light and all that. But then obviously it's like, but still, he's still looking at obviously images or imagery or whatever of that sort of stuff, which is illegal now, obviously for a good reason why it's illegal. And I do think, it would be a question with, so should that be policed? I mean, like, for instance, if people are found with horrible footage or whatever, or things like this now on their hard drives, they get punished for it. Of course they do. That's horrible. And I do think that would be an issue, and definitely something that would be brought to attention, I think, a lot sooner than we would think. As well, I think it would be like, whoa, what about this? Someone could use and abuse this to do some quite horrible things. So I know Star Trek doesn't actually explore that, obviously, because, well, I wouldn't really want them to be honest. But it's definitely something that I think would be. I don't want to bring a downer on this or anything, but I do think.
No, but it is important to say. I mean.
Yeah, I do think. Yeah, it would need to be policed in some shape or form in order to stop this from happening.
I think as well, it's not just that topic that would need to be policed. It's sort of things like it's other things like people. Well, again, it's like it is another topic that's hard to talk about, but like people wanting to harm others, shall we say?
Yeah.
If you particularly hate someone, for example, you could.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? So it's if you think about all the crimes in the world, if people had holodecks, it's like, well, I could literally get away with murder, but then that would be policed as well.
Yeah, I guess. I guess what you're saying is what I just thought of. It's kind of like the whole idea of ethics, well, around holosuites and what you can and cannot do. I mean, let's think of it like so a game. Okay, I mean, a lot of young people play Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
and exactly. A lot of young people, I mean, and they do this in the comfort of their own homes. They're on their TVs, and they're playing. This is now. We're not talking about the show. We're talking about now, and they're playing a game where they can shoot at anyone, run over anyone, do anything, and the things you could do on there is unbelievable. You know, it really is.
No, absolutely.
But imagine that in a holodeck scale. Would
Yeah,
that
imagine like if you think about Grand Theft Auto in a holodeck,
yeah, would that be wrong? Would Rockstar be told you can't do that? You know, would Rockstar get a block then? They're not allowed to make any to the holodeck industry because we can't be having that sort of content because it's, you know what I mean? It's like the idea because you're a criminal, you actually be a criminal in that game as well. That's part of the storyline,
yeah.
isn't it?
I think that would be something that's either Rockstar, for example, would or any developer would be either banned from making, or sort of you make it, but then like, it would go back to what I was saying, that you would need to show ID. You know, there would be an age restriction. There would be like a 18 age restriction, or 25 age restriction, or whatever. You know.
But then I guess these things do sort of slide, don't they, as well? You know, you have a lot of people who are a lot younger playing these games anyway. But maybe the holodeck, would they have a procedure where it knows your age? I don't know. It knows who you are. You walk in the room and be like, you are underage, and then it like turns everything off. I don't know.
Yeah.
So no, it's definitely quite interesting. I mean, it is the internet basically, isn't it? The internet, obviously, there's this place of wonder. Me and we made a podcast about anything we like. We can publish it to the world. We've got the technology. We can make it. We got our webcams on and our microphones and all that. But then it's the idea. Obviously, the internet can also be used for a lot of darker things as well. You know, it's. I mean, being a Brit, I don't really see it like this, but one a description I saw before of like the internet, and it was basically when it was a big time of downloading the music illegally, and it was a lot of things about torrents, and it's American used this quote to describe a torrent, and I because it's basically explaining how torrents are not necessarily illegal. It's basically the content that you download is illegal. Okay. And this American used this quote, and it works, I think, a lot. Well, it works a lot more relevant to Americans, I think, than to Brits. But still, I understand what they're trying to get at. So basically, the idea of a gun. Okay. So a gun, obviously, is a weapon, and it's dangerous. But also a weapon can be seen as something that is used for protection. So it's how, basically what it's trying to say is a gun is just basically how you use it.
Yeah, I know what you're trying. Yeah,
that's and that sort of quote I've always sort of stuck on my mind as in, it is how you use a gun. Do you use it to kill people, or do you use it as just a form of defense, sort of thing, you know? So with the internet, obviously, do you use it for education? Holodecks, do you use it for education? Do you use it just for a little bit of fun, or do you use it to play out, you know, some very taboo, very sick fantasies, or as you said, like, you know, I don't know, maybe do crime as well? I mean, I'm sure it's especially if the holodecks were connected to the internet, there'd be all sorts of ways of you know, doing things. I'm sure there'll be different ways of even performing what's it called, fraud and things like that. You know, I'm sure there'll be all sorts of things they can do.
Yeah, it's like you could do some really nasty things to people. Like, for instance, I could literally have my own holodeck, and I could create a perfect replica, say, of your room right now, with you know, your bed, the same bed sheets, the same posters on your wall, the things that are on your bed, and I could trick you into sort of making you think you're actually in your bedroom, but you're in some sort of, I don't know, dark dungeon somewhere. But to you, do you know what I mean?
That reminds me of that episode of Enterprise when they capture a member of my mind's going blank now, of Enterprise characters. Who are they fighting in the Enterprise? The main enemy until season 4.
The Zindi.
That's it. So the member of the Zindi, isn't it? Is I can't remember. It's not a reptilia race. It's one of the other races. But basically, I think it's more of the humanoid races. Anyway, so they capture. Remember, Archer captures him, and then Archer makes it that he's woken up in the future or something, and that the reptilia race has gone against them. And and then they basically they got a ship and they're making it because they got the holodeck because it's in the holodeck.
Oh yes.
And they're trying to get information out of him. Yeah. Because again, it's had this sort of meta element in it where I actually questioned. I was like, "Whoa, why is he on his side now?" Sort of thing. And then you learn, actually, they're in a holodeck, and because they're like, that they're like pushing the ship as well to make it feel like they're in space and things like that. But yeah, no, again though, yeah, that's a really good point. What you said there, I guess that's one way. I guess the military would use it though as well, isn't it? In interrogation or
interrogation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting what you said there. And what's scary, I guess, people could kidnap people and do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I could. I mean, not that I would want to. But I could kidnap you, and like I say, just put you in a replica of your room, and you can be like, oh yeah, I'm in my room.
It becomes a Truman Show for real, like.
The Truman Show is a good example, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyone who hasn't seen the Truman Show should watch the Truman Show.
Yeah,
it's a really good film.
And in case I don't see it, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
I really watch that now.
It's on Netflix.
It is on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It is on Netflix. It is a good film. I do like that film.
Yeah.
But it is a good example, definitely, of what we've been talking about. The other thing I want to say from an ethics point of view is that I can't recall any Star Trek episodes, so anybody listening out there could probably tell us, or maybe you, Matt. But another thing from an ethics point of view is I think that, you haven't seen Dark Matter, have you?
No, I haven't. Still haven't seen that. No.
There's a sci-fi series called Dark Matter, and there's an instance where one of the main characters' wife. I don't want to ruin it for you.
No, carry on. Don't worry.
One of the main characters' lovers or wife dies, but they manage to save her consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So the main character is able to go into this program and be with his dead wife. And it kind of just got me thinking about what if you lost someone, or if you lost a loved one or whatever, but you had the ability to create a holodeck version of them, or an EMH doctor that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Holographic version of them. Ethically, would you still be able to love that person? Could you make love to them? Would you still want to,
Yeah.
It's basically them. It's basically their same consciousness, their same memories, like it is in Dark Matter. She has all the memories of the main character's dead wife, but it's not her.
Yeah.
She's not real. They're not real. But could you still do all those things?
I mean, related to Star Trek, isn't that basically what happens in Picard with Data?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, again, I don't really. Picard for me was a bit, but yeah, exactly. So from an ethics point of view, that's quite an interesting.
Yeah.
Think about as well.
Well, actually, when you said that, I've actually recently come across a documentary of something, nothing to do with science fiction now. This is reality. So you said, of course, this person passed away, and so they basically downloaded, say, their that's what I'm looking for, their subconscious or their consciousness, isn't it, onto to digital forms as them.
Yeah.
So I watched this. It's a documentary on Netflix called Dark Web.
Right.
Dark Web follows all sorts of different things around the web, and a lot of things. Obviously, you can imagine being calling dark web. A lot of things like fraud and things like that. This episode was mainly about robotics, and it was about it's just Japanese lady, and basically she lost her husband and or her fiance or something like that. Basically, her life partner. And what they did was, there's a company who looks into these sort of things, and I can imagine it being quite expensive to do. But basically, what they did, they looked into his basically his behavior through his internet, as in, no, so the way he messaged and the way he communicated with her. So they used his phone to understand his personality and how he reacts to certain things. And what they did then, they used that and other things, well, they could find of him, his virtual side anyway, and they actually put that consciousness into a robot.
Mm.
So basically, it was like him, and she saw it as him. And it's a really interesting documentary. And basically, she's basically interacting with this robot as him, and he responds as he would have responded through basically his chat logs. They basically used his chat logs as the basis of making, you know, it's him basically. And it's just I don't know, and it kind of reminded me what you just said then, you know, is that right or is that wrong? And I don't know,
I think,
you know,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's whether you have the, you know, the ethics or the moral ability, if you like, to do that. Like, for example, like just before Christmas last year, I lost my granddad. My granddad passed away. I would give anything now to see him again and share a whiskey with him. And like, if I had a holodeck, I could do that. I could share with my granddad. But it's not a whiskey, but it's like any. I mean, if anybody who's lost someone would know, like, you'd give anything just to have one more day with them or one more memory with them. And I think going off that lady, she had the, you know, the moral ability to interact with her husband, even though she knew he was a robot, or, you know, but she still did that. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Anybody who's lost anybody.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the technology is not here yet as such. I mean, it was obviously some complications with it, but I think, yeah, like you said about obviously your granddad, I guess if it is someone that you really care about, I mean, I can definitely see this a thing for especially people like widows and widowers, you know, just having that comfort, I guess. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, and I'm sure there would have been in the future a lot of widows and widowers who would use that technology in order to have, say, like I said, like, you know, you said the consciousness downloaded into, you know, into a digital form, kind of like data as well. I mean, because data is alive, isn't he? And it's, you know, he's alive. I know obviously he is an android anyway, but then I guess I don't know. It's I don't know. It goes into all sorts of different directions this as well, doesn't it? I mean, that sort of questions what is reality again, isn't it? What is real? And
I think that's sort of rounding it back to a Star Trek point of view. That's what Star Trek explores really well, is the ethics and sort of through, you know, holograms and stuff.
Well, I guess, yeah, it kind of, I mean, I was talking to you yesterday, but it reminds me of a lot about one of my favorite books, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. And like I was talking to you about this at the start. He wakes up with his wife, the main characters, Rick Deckard, and basically they have it's like emotion chip things, and basically they can set any emotion they want, so they can feel good all day thanks to this emotion chip. And there's other things, well, in the book where, you know, he has a pet electric sheep, and everyone has electric animals, and as I said, in the end he falls for an android woman, and, you know, he ends up having a sexual relationship with an android woman, and it's just sort of, I mean, this book was written years ago, but I mean, it does still, I think, question today, like especially the emotion thing. I think that's quite an interesting part of it. You know, even though it's not real or it's artificial, it's man-made, if it's as good as the real thing, does it matter, sort of thing. I don't know. It's, you know,
well, yeah, that's the exact point.
like you said about obviously with the spouse of that character, as you said in that program. Yeah, it's not real, but if it's just as good as the real thing, does it matter? Do you know what I mean? If it still brings you comfort and it still brings you joy and all those sort of things, does it matter then? And kind of like in that book, really, did it really matter? Because it was, even though it wasn't real, it was man-made, it was a machine. But so yeah, I mean, it's kind of exciting actually as well to think about. I mean, how the world's going to change in the next. I mean, look, like I said, how fast technology's come in the past 20 years, and our lifetime. Imagine another 20 years time.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be 40, Well, not 40. We'll be older now. We'll be in
Well,
our 40s. 40. Yeah, we'll be 47. Sorry, I keep forgetting how old I am. Anyway, my point is, though, we'll be in our 40s, or nearly 50s. Let's just say 40s. And
late 40s.
Yeah, mid 40s. There we are. Let's say mid. I prefer mid. No, but my point is, I say mid 20s now, to be honest with you. I say late mid 20s. But
I say late 20s because 20s are late 20s. But anyway,
I won't say late. There's a 9 next to the number. I always said that. But no, my point is, I mean, these are the things that we will be talking about in the future. I mean, there's a thing about there's a whole program somewhere, and it is quite funny, to be honest. And these people are laughed at now. They are, and they really are. They're laughed at. And these are people who work in a lot in the sex industry, and you imagine pornography and all that. And there's these people trying to build sex robots basically as sex workers. I mean, you can look at it in some ways going, well, if you can actually do this, I mean, does that mean people themselves haven't got to be sex workers? The idea that a robot can just do it, I guess, that's sorted. That's one thing I guess you could see it as a positive, So you haven't got to actually get, a real person sells their body. You actually have a robot, just to do it. And, at the end of the day, a robot could be seen as just, a piece of furniture, isn't it? It's just a robot sort of thing.
Yeah, just a robot. But then would that robot then become
conscious? Yeah.
like not like data, but like data.
Yeah, data. Yeah, exactly. This is my point. And then we'll go into this other headache of consciousness of machines, and then and then I mean, it kind of makes me think about what the future will hold. I mean, and what route we'll go down. Because I don't know if you've ever been are you a fan of The Matrix?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I've seen the films. Yeah.
I mean, I like obviously you know the idea of The Matrix obviously is run by machines, but I've watched the you have the animate. You had a chance to watch the Animatrix. The Animatrix, basically the animes of the Matrix, and one of them's called I think it's is it Nation Zero? I think it's Nation Zero. Hang on. So basically, sorry, getting gassy. So basically, what happens is it tells a story of the relationship man and machine and how man went against machine. Okay, and all the machines were sent to their own country, and I think it's Nation Zero. I think they call it. Correct if I'm wrong, someone out there. I think it's Nation Zero. And basically, Nation Zero then wants peace with mankind, and then tries to actually become its own nation, as in so it's a nation that is equal to all the other nations. So at the moment, mankind have sort of pushed them out the way. They don't want them anymore because they have consciousness and stuff, and they're scared of them. So they chuck them in their own world. In the end, the robots obviously just get annoyed and end up taking over mankind. As you know, they take away the sunlight and all that, and then they use mankind obviously as batteries, basically as chemical energy. And then obviously they build the Matrix. But that's my point, though. I think it's. I mean, I know we got off topic a little bit, but but still, it does sort of question, how far we can go with technology and how far, and how we have to, I guess, always be careful. And science fiction, I think, in a way, gives us the head start. it gets us to sort of explore these things before they even happen.
Yeah.
Because in the
Well,
future, I'm sure it will definitely be a thing, like you said. Like,
absolutely.
because I said about, oh, it will just be a piece of furniture, or a robot's basically a vacuum cleaner. But then one day, in years to come, probably way before, well, sorry, way after. I mean, we're on the planet. I'm sure it'll happen, not in our lifetime, but there will be a time when machines will be more, have more consciousness, and they will be like, hang on, we want our own rights now, and then how we deal with that, and then would there be wars? Would there be, I don't know, and it's. I think what I'm trying to say is it's great that science fiction as well, like Star Trek, allows us to think of these things. I mean, the Hollow Suite itself. I mean, the fact that this is. I mean, this is a thing that we've sort of highlighted in these podcasts so far about how much we think it's such a great way of exploring the Star Trek world, and like I said, like with Data, what is it to be human and all this, and again explore history and all this and learn lessons and things. But it opens doors of discussion of what it'd be like in the real world. And even, I mean, me and you talking now, we even start talking about games of today and how GTA, is that actually ethically correct? Having, I don't know, a game like GTA. I'm pointing because I got my PlayStation there. But it's, yeah, it is definitely a minefield, I'd say. It opens up so many doors, so many things, and what the future holds and I think the holodeck's definitely one of them that will be one of them things where we'll have to. There'll be so many. I think international, they call them international like meetings and UN meetings about these sort of things of, what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah, and like which countries' military should have holodecks and.
Yeah. Oh, should they all be access them, and should children of the world be having for education, and if we are used for entertainment, how would they be used? Should, like we said about the whole, you brought up with the the losing your spouse thing as well, losing your loved one thing. Should they be given those technologies in order to, talk to their
right? Having that right.
I don't know. It's a weird one. I mean, in a way, I know I'm going off topic again, but I mean, like I say, the holodeck is such a complex thing, such a simple idea, but also opens so many doors into so many scenarios. Like, would the holodeck also be a place of, another subject's quite dark, but euthanasia, of the idea of taking one's life. But what if that life was taken and their consciousness was downloaded onto a virtual reality? I mean, would that be okay then? I don't know. It's also, would you want that?
Kind of like connects what we've all been saying.
Yeah.
So far, losing your spouse, it connects, doesn't it?
Yeah. And would you want that as well? Would you want to download your consciousness onto a? I don't know.
Yeah, or would you rather just? Oh, sorry, excuse me. Would you just rather,
Yeah.
pass away into the ether sort of thing, or would you want to carry on as a robot, or like in a robot? I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Or like you literally live on the internet, like sort of thing. It's definitely a question. I think. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer it now. I don't know.
Nah.
It's.
One thing you could answer is our last point, which is
we are getting to that. Yeah, we do get into all these different topics. We go into great detail, but I think it's been good though. But yeah, we probably should get to our last, but we are running out of time.
Our last point. Matthew Westcott, what would you do if you had your own holosuite?
I mean, okay, so part of me would like to do the whole Paris thing of the Captain Proton, because I've always liked to. Because one thing that does attract me to VR is there's a VR game I think it's called The Bridge, Star Trek The Bridge, where you actually become a captain on a bridge. So that's one thing I'd love to explore. However, for me as well, I think I use it actually to go to gigs, to go to concerts, because I love going to gigs and concerts, and especially now it's been a hard thing to do because obviously, obviously coronavirus. But if we could have if bands could do virtual gigs now, live now in your Hollow Suites. You've got Slipknot or whatever. And the idea that you could like, go in your Hollow Suite and watch, say, or anyone, Eminem or anyone, live in your Hollow Suite, and you could interact with people from different parts of the world or wherever, and you're there in the crowd, I think would be amazing. So I definitely.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a live concert. You could create your own. I mean, your own
historical.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go back in time and watch the Beatles. So I could do that.
I'd like to go and I think if I was to pick like an artist, I mean, I'm not a gigger or anything, but I'd like to watch Michael Jackson. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sort of like the legends,
I like iconic. Yeah. So it'd be like watching iconic performances and actually experience them for what they actually are. So yeah, I would say music. I'd definitely explore the world of music performance, I'd say, in my Hollow Suite. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. What about you?
Me, mine is a sad one. Well, not a sad one in terms of that sad, but it's when I was younger. I always used to have like a really big imagination when I was younger, and I used to be really into like football and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I always remember when I was younger, like I used to watch programs like Final Score and stuff, which is like basically where it's like this big program. It's hard to explain it to you because you're not a football fan, but Final Score is a program where it's like showing like the scores of the day, like all the people.
No,
like,
I have seen it. I've seen it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'd watch as a little boy. I would watch Final Score and like then in my living room pretend that I was playing football.
Okay.
Watching Final Score. It sounds sad, but that's the imagination.
Yeah.
I would love it if like that. I always like thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if I had like my own Hollow Suite and like I could actually be a footballer. Like this is when I was big into football. And it's the same with like again when I was younger, I used to really enjoy watching Wimbledon, and like sometimes I'd pretend that whilst I was watching Wimbledon, I would pretend, in my living room or bedroom that I was sort of a tennis player, and I would sort of playing against the people on the telly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it sounds sad, but that's like
no. I can
the imagination of young Dan, and now like being a big Formula One fan, I would never get the chance to feel what it's like to sit in a Formula One car or drive a Formula One car. But if I had a holodeck, I could. So I think I would probably use it for sports. Personally,
yeah.
Any sport that I wouldn't. I mean, I could literally go to a park right now and play football, but like for instance, like Formula One, I'd never get that opportunity. So I could go and race against, it's like the legends, sort of drivers that aren't around anymore, Ayrton Senna or, those sort of legends of Formula One. But, I mean, I think from a leisurely perspective, I think that's what I would use my holodeck for is sports and that sort of thing.
Can I just say very quickly, so we are finishing up now, but I like what you said about I don't know, it's the idea of children using it as well, and I like the idea of children using it of a place of I don't know, maybe children and say young adults as in a place of just if they have any questions or anything they need to explore as in for growing up. So for instance, like especially young teenagers now, we have services like Talk to Frank and things like that, don't we? Obviously, the drug use and things like that. But what I'm trying to say is, of children as well, of being bullied in school, it's quite a good sort of sanction to go to. And it could also be ways of, I don't know, sort of helping them through that, So I like that idea of definitely children and that's interesting.
You can go down like a mental health.
Yeah, exactly. Therapy.
Therapy,
Therapy, definitely. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, definitely do all sorts of things in there. Yoga. No, yoga is. I thought a Yoda as in Star Wars. Yoga classes,
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
I think just to personally summing up, I think Star Trek has already given us so many inspirations for technology, sort of things like the iPad and blah blah blah.
Flip phone, yeah.
Flip phones. I think holodeck technology is probably the next big thing that Star Trek could give us, really, I think.
I think so. I definitely think one day it will be reality. I definitely think it's definitely there in the imagination of a lot of people. And I think, one day it will be reality. I mean, the theories of the Star Trek, remember, is based on actual theory. So who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Right then. Wow. I think, wow, what an episode. We've talked about so much.
Yeah. Let us know what you would do with your Hollow Suite.
Yeah, definitely. I'd definitely like to know what everyone would like to, what would they do in their Hollow Suite? Would you use it for all sorts of things? I mean, if it's too personal, maybe not get into it too much. You see my imagination. Leave that to yourselves. As long as you're having fun. All right then. So, of course, it's what we talked about today. Is of course holodecks or Hollow Suites. But anyway, thank you all for listening. Remember, of course, you can watch us on our Facebook page at M&DHQ, or you can watch us, of course, on our YouTube channel, Matt and Dan House of Quark, on our YouTube channel there, or you listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, Anchor, Breaker, and, of course, Overcast and Pocket Casts as well. Thank you all so much for listening.
Amen.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and remember, live long and prosper.